All right. Hey guys, my name's Sean,
I'm Brandon.
and this is our first talk through the Real Essentials curriculum. We're going into the love languages. There's 5 of them. If you look in the show notes, you'll see there's a worksheet with the 5 love languages. It actually came from this best-selling book by Gary Chapman. We just found out that there's a teenage version here, and you can tell because, well, they're young and they're holding up a phone. So turns out that the same love languages are true, so we're going to go right into them. And you can find out which one is yours by taking the test in the questionnaire that's provided, and you're gonna find out basically where you scored the most points, and then that's gonna basically be your top 1 or 2 love languages. So then when you're listening to us, you'll know a little bit more about how you love. So Brandon, words of affirmation, right?
Yeah.
That's your favorite? Is that what you told me?
So it is my favorite.
Okay. How does that work?
So for me, if someone says, "Hey, Brandon, you look great today," like that puts a little bit of extra gas in my tank.
Okay.
Honestly, yeah.
Okay. So if I was to say, "You look great," that's what you're telling me would fill your tank.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. So you mind if I contribute here? All right. So
Right.
that would fill you up. Okay. A little left boob right there. But all right. So now, what if somebody said something like, "Hey, those are nice shoes. Do those come in men's sizes?" Is that a compliment? Do those come in men's sizes?
Still a compliment. Yeah, they do.
Okay, because I know your wife wants those back. I'm just kidding. They look fresh, bro. You got good kicks. Okay, so another word of affirmation other than just how about something other than just what's on the outside? What kind of good compliments have you gotten about your character or about you as a person?
Well, if somebody said, "Hey, Brandon, I love the way that you just take care of people, that you look out for people," like that to me shows that you're paying attention, and I feel affirmed in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so straight up. You have 2 kids. You take really good care of them. You're a great dad, and I admire that about you. I really mean
Thanks,
that.
man.
Yeah, I really mean that. So,
Yeah.
so great dad. All right. Cool. So this is these are words of affirmation. Now, if you haven't figured out how this works, there you go. Basically, it's how you can give somebody encouragement just through your words. Now, there's other ways of doing it, but if somebody is a full-blown words of affirmation person, like I know Brandon is, and it's my number 2. The key is not just complimenting something on their outsides, like your chest looking pretty big today, which is true, but sometimes it's those inside things that actually really make the difference. And, I've realized this now that I have kids. Brandon is 4?
Yeah.
And
4 and 2.
Titan 2. Okay, and my kids are 3, 2, and 1. And what I realized, I don't know if you noticed this, but the people that roll up on my kids to say something, they're always complimenting how tall they're getting or how nice their hair looks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, I still remember as a kid, those were the compliments I got. Not so much being tall, but big curly hair, whatever else I got. And then we wonder why we're all so superficial and we're all so worried about our looks, because it's
Sure.
all we're giving these kids is just stuff about their outside. Cool shoes, man. Because I had these cool light up shoes, right? And so that's all I got. You remember growing up like that?
I think that was a big problem with childhood for me, because if I didn't have that thing, I wondered if people really affirmed me or cared about who I was as a person,
Right.
outside of the physical things that I had to gain, or had to wear.
Right. Yeah, and that's all you get as a kid, because most adults don't even take any kind of time to actually talk to a kid and get to know a kid. Hey, you're really such a servant. You're really helpful. Hey, man, you're really courageous. I saw you stand up to that situation. So I think that's just what we get stuck with. Now, even if that's maybe not ideal, at least a place to start is complimenting somebody on the outside, especially if you have no practice. So saying you look fresh, that totally works, at least to start. The second one you'll find in the sheet is quality time. Now, Brandon, I know quality time is important to you. For me, that's my number 1.
Mm-hmm.
How does it work for you? What kind of quality time could we spend together that you'd be like, dude, that was a good time. That was a good hang.
You bought me lunch last time, and so us hanging out and having lunch, that to me is quality time. If somebody says, "Hey, I want to take this time aside to spend with you," that adds to my love tank.
All right, lunch?
Yeah.
So that would fill you up?
Yeah.
All right, you looking full?
Literally, fill me up.
Straight up. Straight up. All right. And we hit the gym together, right?
Yeah.
All right. I look up to you because, you're more built than me. So gym, is that
gym
is that
time.
quality
Yeah, for sure.
time?
No, definitely.
Now, if I'm on the phone the whole time, or I'm not actually spotting you doing reps, is that quality?
Not so much.
Right. So
No.
there's time, but then the quality goes down. So does that affect how that plays out
No,
for you?
definitely. Because it really is more about the quality than it is the quantity.
Okay.
Because sometimes you can be with somebody, but you're not there with somebody. So
Right.
being on the phone is not really being there.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. Cool. All right. So Jim fills you up. You're already starting to look pretty full, man. Like the love tank, I'm seeing it. You know, it's starting to show. And this is actually a reality. Is like when you love on somebody well, they actually start to show it. And this is something you're going to want to think about. Like how if you feel deflated in life. Are you being loved properly? Or do you feel like people are spending the time with you that you want? A lot of times I'll be teaching this in a public school, and I'll ask what the number one, I'll take a poll and see what the number one, the number one love language is, and what most people feel like they need. And the number one usually comes out to be quality time. Okay. And almost everyone says they don't spend enough time with their families, time with their siblings, time with their loved ones. So it's a big one. So we've got words of affirmation, quality time. How about receiving gifts? What kind of gifts do you like to receive?
I love any thoughtful gift. For me, it's more about, you knowing me and saying, hey, Brandon would love a big bag of gummy worms. Like that to me shows
you're not lying.
that you're thinking about me.
Straight love gummies, bro.
And and receiving that gift, honestly, that's what fills me up. Gift cards, I don't like gift cards too much. They're not very thoughtful, but something thoughtful, a gift that I would love, like that to me is big.
Okay, all right. So gummies, and it'll be a big deal now because Brandon's doing 21 days without gummies, right?
Yes,
I'm doing 21 days without watching the news, right? Doing our little thing for Lent, doing some good spiritual practice there. All right, cool. So gummies, I know for me, like a lot of times, like I kind of have what I need. The minute I think of something I need on. And I can get it on Amazon. I pull it up on Amazon. I buy it. And my wife's always telling me like, I never know what to get you because you get the things you want. So I have my things that I need, but when she'll give me like a thoughtful note, you know what I mean? Just write out something like, I love you. You're just such a man. You're such a godly man. You're such a good husband. Such a good caretaker for our kids. Like that just does something for me.
Right, for sure.
So you could actually think about that, right? Like if somebody wrote a thoughtful note to you, write a note. Would it do something for you?
For sure. I think it's a great gift.
It's low budget too. I mean, because we ain't always got we got kids. We're paying for diapers, right? So
gotta get creative somewhere.
Right? Is that gonna fit anywhere there? You got space for that? All right. Okay, so it turns out then that gifts isn't really like big money stuff, right? It can
for sure. Like be anything thoughtful that you can think of to give somebody else.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So the thoughtfulness part, they always say, right? The thought that counts.
Right.
Yeah, okay, cool. So what about for you? What is acts of service? Like what could someone do for you that would fill your love tank?
That's a good question. Cook for me. I think that's big. Cooking's hard, but it's also so enjoyable. So if somebody cooks for me, that definitely fills my love tank.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so if I cooked for you, you're saying?
As long as it's good, then yeah.
Okay.
I would appreciate that.
All right. I actually don't even care about the quality of food. For me, I just hate making food. I hate prepping food. Like straight up, I don't even put stuff in the microwave. Like I'll eat it cold because I just dislike and laundry. Oh my gosh, bro, laundry. So like if you were to even like put food on a plate for me, that would do it for me. Wow. Right? Like just being honest. Yeah. What's a way somebody else think of somebody else and how you could do an act of service for? How about like a teacher, right? I mean, how would you show some love for a teacher?
Man,
how about like clean all the desks in the room or something?
Organize school supplies.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it's basically stuff that needs to get done.
Right, for sure.
Right. Okay. So acts of service isn't big for me, but I know for my wife that's huge. Like if I take a few things off of her list of things to do.
Yeah, my wife too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is it her number one?
No. Yeah. Probably number two, but it's big for her because if I make the bed for her. It's one less thing she has to worry about, and she can focus on the rest of the day on. Because it's taken care of. So
that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. And just one act of service will almost always spur on a second. Like I know my wife, the bed is a big deal too. And so if I make the bed, I'll notice like even if I don't do a great job, like sometimes there's like pillows and stuff, and I'll just throw those sheets over it, and she'll come at me and be like, "Hey, I just want to thank you for making the bed." And I know that I didn't do a great job. I just sort of did it, and it looks like a mountain range, which people in Florida don't know, but that's like those are like it's when dirt goes up and down like that. That's what a mountain is. So because we're in Florida, so that's why we say it like that. But basically, like if I do it and then she gets happy about it, then I catch myself doing something else. Like I'm doing the dishes,
Right.
and I'm kind of like looking around the corner to see like, did you see I did the dishes? And she's like, oh, thank you so much for doing the dishes. And I feel so
like
good.
a win-win.
Right. So
everybody wins.
I get a word of affirmation, right, and then she gets an act of service, and then all like it actually is it's a chain reaction, and so I love that. What about physical touch? Okay, so this is this can be. Does it have to be sexual? I think that's the first thing I think when I think physical touch.
No, not at all. If anything, you want to think of physical touch as something that just grabs, your partner's attention or that person's attention.
Grabs.
So, so exactly, like holding a hand or rub on the back, like anything like that. Where you're just showing, hey, I'm here.
Pat on the belly.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, some people like pats on the belly or pats on the back. So I think that's important to know. Like it's really more saying like, hey, I'm connected to you. I'm here for you.
Right.
Hand on the shoulder kind of thing. Not and that goes a long way. To be honest.
Yeah. And hopefully, if it's your significant other, it can go all the way. All right, now we won't go there, but physical touch, right? So like a pat on the back is what you're saying.
No,
pat
for sure.
On the back. Okay. So this is all good.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me contribute that to you. Now, we're just gonna
put it right in the back.
Put it right in the back. All right. Now you're a dancer. Can you just dance for us a little real quick to see so everyone can see what you got, what you're working with?
Oh.
How about the back? You got anything in the back, bro?
Oh, I'm filled, man.
You got a dunk all
I
the way
am
up
filled.
there. Looking sharp, man.
I'm so filled right now.
So real life is this. Most people don't get this kind of love every day. Like, have you ever had one day where you got all these things? Somebody did the dishes, complimented you on your clothes, complimented you on your character. You've had a day like that?
Birthday. Usually birthdays are the days everybody gets.
Okay, you're right.
Only on those very special days.
Right. Typically a birthday. But like other days,
probably not.
Not a chance, right?
No.
Yeah, I know for me it's not. I mean, I got good guys like you in my life, but even still, like you'll give me one compliment, and then a couple other things will knock me down, so it kind of balances out, right?
For sure.
So if you're a word of affirmation type, right? What would be something that would deflate you? Okay, so because you are like that's why I'm asking you.
For sure.
Yeah.
Most likely words that don't affirm me are ones that put me down. So someone said, "Hey man, you did a really bad job on that video or on that dance move."
That would deflate you?
That would deflate me.
Okay. Yeah. And or like you can also just gossip about somebody, right?
That's true.
So then you're using words, and even though you're not using them to the person, it kind of gets around to the person eventually.
They're about the person.
And that deflates them, right? Okay. So
yeah.
All right, I lost a little weight there. I see.
Yeah.
That looks good. What about if you're a receiving gifts type? What's a way that you can be deflated if like I'm guessing maybe if I was to promise you like, yo, let's get lunch. Actually, I did this the other day. I was like, yo, let's get lunch, right? And I got busy and I couldn't show up.
Right.
And that was like that gift, I guess, didn't come through.
Right.
Would that deflate you?
Yeah, it would.
Okay, so that would be deflating. Sorry about that. So that's not hurting, is it?
No,
okay.
You're wearing a little bit.
You're wearing clothes on.
I don't feel as full anymore.
I feel you. Sagging a little there. But what about if you're a physical touch person? I mean, what kind of physical touch will deflate somebody?
I guess if it's like harmful touch.
Okay.
Yeah, usually. Or no touch at all.
Okay.
Maybe somebody doesn't show me any kind of attention, put a hand on my back.
Right.
My wife doesn't hold my hand, something like that.
Yeah. Gives you a cold shoulder, you feel deflated. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then what about like an act of service? Did I already do that? An act of service?
No.
Somebody so somebody that would like had a plan to come through for you on something. Like, yo, I'm gonna do the dishes, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna make the bed every morning, babe. I mess this up. I set up the expectation, babe. I'm gonna always take out the trash and always make the bed.
Right.
And then I don't, right? Now it's one thing if I never promise, but it's
sure.
a whole nother thing when I've already said it. Like, yo, I'm gonna do this, like count on it, look forward to it, and then what happens when I don't?
I mean, you feel deflated.
Straight up, right? Okay, so then that deflates her. Woo! All right. And we got the last one is quality time. Man, what ways can quality time be affected? Straight up, though, the phone.
Yeah,
right?
No, definitely.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Like,
if it's only quantity where you're all around each other, but there's nobody being intentional,
right?
I feel like that easily deflates somebody. I mean, deflates me for sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, think about, like, I noticed that I do this. Somebody pointed it out. I always will sit down for a meal with someone, and I'll leave my phone face up, and then I'll sort of like I'll be looking at whatever's coming through, and I can tell like sometimes the other person just doesn't feel like I'm there as much.
Right, if you're not in the moment.
Right. So the time's there, but the quality's not.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so that would be deflating. Or straight up just not spending the time, right? Hey, we're gonna meet up, but we don't, right?
Right.
I kind of want to leave these last two there on you though. Is that cool? Like, you mind working today just like this?
I don't mind.
All right. I mean, it just looks like you got like implants. They just did it way too high. Or you can't get implants and then sit down because it'll actually shift them up.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I'm Brazilian, that's why I know. I didn't get implants. It's just we know about butts, so that's like a thing. I don't know. It's a cultural thing. So I'm gonna deflate your balloon butt here. Okay. Yep. All right. Sorry about that. So yeah, that's the 5 love languages. Go ahead and take your quiz, figure out what you are, and then you now know something about you. Now, something you want to think about is this. Just because you have a love language doesn't mean that's what the other person that you're trying to love has, right? So I'm all about some quality time, and Brandon's all about some words of affirmation, right?
For sure.
So you could be just saying the nicest things to me, right? Hey, you're amazing, man. You're such a good whatever. And I'm just kind of like, all right. But if we don't hang out, exactly. I'm not feeling it.
Right, same, yeah.
Has that ever played out with your spouse where you thought like, oh, I'm just going to give her what's comfortable for me, but she doesn't
right.
like it?
Yeah, and it never works out. Like, I feel like a lot of times I try to give my spouse what I normally would receive as far as just any of these love languages, and I think it doesn't go well. I think it's important that you know what yours are, but also it's important that you know what your friends are, your spouse, people around you. It's very important.
Okay, cool. So pay attention. Other people don't have the same love languages you do, so don't just
Right.
do what comes naturally, because you could be wasting a ton of energy thinking you're doing something good. You've probably been in a relationship or a friendship where like, I don't get it, man. I'm always giving. I'm always this. I'm always dropping hints. I'm always giving love. And it's like, yeah, but they don't hear it in that language, right? It's almost like thinking of two people that speak totally different languages. I can say the nicest things,
Right.
and so if I'm speaking Portuguese, you don't get it. Right,
yeah.
Which does happen sometimes. I'm speaking Portuguese. You're like,
English.
speak English. So yeah, it doesn't matter what I'm saying, even if it's good stuff, right? Because we got to be on the same. We got to be on the same language, same level. So, all right, you guys. Well, now you know something about the love languages. Go ahead and finish this worksheet if you haven't done it. Figure out what you are, and then maybe test somebody you love to see if they have a different language, and start working on filling them up. And be sure, if anything, you don't deflate them, because people don't want to feel deflated, and nobody sticks around with somebody who deflates them all the time. So that's something to be aware of. See you guys next time for the next lesson.
Bye,
Thanks.
guys.
Peace.